Welcome to Infidelity Love, where love burns, lies unravel, and secrets always come to light. If you crave stories filled with passion, betrayal, heartbreak, and revenge, then you're in the right place. Here, every twist cuts deep, and every episode keeps you begging for more. Subscribe now and dive into the dangerous world where love and deception collide.
Once upon a time, in a small quiet town called Willow Creek, there lived a lady named Mosseline Gray. Mosseline was a kind woman with soft brown eyes and long black hair. She lived in a little yellow house by the river with her only daughter, Lenny. Lenny was just 6 years old and loved to play with butterflies. Mosseline was poor. She didn't have much money. She worked very hard, cleaning people's homes to buy food and clothes for Lenny. Every morning, Mosseline would wake up before the sun came out. She would kiss Lenny's cheek, make her some porridge, and walk down the old dusty road to town. But things were not easy. One day, the kind old lady Mosseline worked for moved away. The new boss was a mean man named Mr. Dorbin. He had a long, angry face and eyes as sharp as a hawk. Dorbin shouted at Mosseline every day. "Clean the floor better, woman. Faster," he would yell. Mosseline was scared, but she had no choice. She needed the job to feed little Lenny. Some days, Mosseline worked so hard her hands would bleed, but she smiled when she got home, hugged Lenny, and told her bedtime stories. One cold night, something strange happened. Mosseline was walking home in the dark. The wind howled, and the trees shook like ghosts were hiding in them. Suddenly, she heard a voice from the bushes. "Help, help me." Mosseline froze. Her heart beat fast like a drum. She looked around but saw no one. "Who's there?" she whispered. Then, a small hand reached out from the bush. It was a boy, no older than 7. His clothes were torn, and his face was dirty. "My name is Tobin," the boy said, crying. "A bad man is chasing me." Mosseline's heart melted. Without thinking, she grabbed the boy's hand and pulled him out. "Come, child, come with me." She ran home with Tobin and locked the door tight. Lenny was already asleep. Mosseline gave the boy some bread and water. "Who is chasing you, dear?" she asked softly. But before Tobin could answer, there was a loud knock. Knock, knock. On the door. "Open up," a deep voice growled. Mosseline's blood turned cold. She looked through the window and saw a tall man with a long black coat. His eyes were red like fire. He was the scariest man Mosseline had ever seen. "Don't open the door," whispered Tobin, shaking. "That's him. That's the bad man." Mosseline didn't know what to do. She held Tobin close and tiptoed to her bedroom. The man kept banging the door, harder and harder. "I know you're in there, boy," the man shouted. Mosseline's heart raced. Who was this man? Why did he want Tobin? What was going on? Suddenly, the man kicked the door open. Bam! Mosseline screamed. She grabbed a broomstick and stood in front of Tobin and Lenny, who was now awake and crying. "Stay away from my children," Mosseline shouted, though her hands were shaking. The man grinned, showing yellow teeth. "That boy doesn't belong to you, lady. He's safe here," Mosseline said bravely. The man took a step closer. Then, out of nowhere, a bright light flashed in the room. The man screamed and covered his eyes. Tobin stood up. His eyes were glowing blue. "Leave us alone," he shouted. The man stumbled back, as if something was pushing him. Then he ran out into the night. Mosseline stared at Tobin in shock. Who are you, child?" she whispered. Tobin looked down and spoke softly. "I can't tell you now, but I'm not an ordinary boy." Mosseline's mind was spinning. Who was this boy? What powers did he have? Why was the bad man after him? And what danger had she brought into her home? Outside, the wind blew harder. Somewhere in the dark, the bad man was watching, his red eyes glowing. "This isn't over," he whispered to himself. And far, far away, in a place no one knew, a shadowy figure was sitting on a throne made of bones. "Find the boy," the figure said in a cold voice, "before the lady protects him too well." Mosseline's heart was still pounding. She held Lenny tight while Tobin stood by the window, his glowing blue eyes slowly turning normal again. "What was that, Tobin?" Mosseline asked, her voice shaking. I can't explain," Tobin whispered, "but the bad man will come back. He never gives up." Outside, the wind howled louder, the trees danced like tall monsters, and the sky turned dark purple. The bad man, his red eyes glowing in the shadows, spoke to a group of strange, hooded men. "Break the house," the bad man growled. "Bring me the boy and the woman alive." The hooded men moved like ghosts, carrying sharp sticks and ropes. Inside the house, Mosseline looked around. "We have to run," she said. "They'll tear down this house." "But where can we go, Mama?" Lenny cried. Mosseline thought fast. She grabbed a small bag, packed some bread, water, and an old silver necklace her grandmother gave her. "There's an old hunter's cave by the river," Mosseline said. "We can hide there." Tobin nodded. "Good idea. But we must leave now." Suddenly, crash! A rock smashed through the window, then another, and another. "Come out, lady," the bad man shouted. "You can't hide." Mosseline opened the back door and the three of them ran into the night. The ground was cold. Twigs cracked under their feet. The night animals scattered as they passed. The moonlight showed them the path to the river, but as they reached the old wooden bridge, they saw three hooded men standing there, blocking the way. "Where do you think you're going?" one of them hissed. Mosseline stepped in front of Lenny and Tobin. "Stay behind me," she said, holding a thick stick she picked up from the ground. The hooded men laughed. "You think you can stop us with that?" one jeered. Then, one of them lunged at Mosseline. Swoosh! Tobin raised his hand, and a blast of bright blue light shot out. The man was thrown into the bushes, screaming. Mosseline's eyes widened. Lenny clung to her leg, shivering. Another man charged at them with a rope. "Duck!" Tobin shouted. Mosseline bent low as the man swung the rope. She swung her stick and hit him in the knee. The man fell down, groaning. But the third man grabbed Lenny and pulled her toward the trees. "No!" Mosseline screamed. She ran after him, her stick raised high. But before she could reach them, the bad man himself appeared, standing tall like a monster. His red eyes glowed, and his long fingers stretched like claws. "I warned you, lady," he growled. Tobin stepped forward, his eyes shining again. "Let her go." The bad man laughed. "You are still weak, boy. You can't stop me yet." The man lifted his hand, and a dark smoke began to fill the air. Mosseline coughed. Lenny cried. Tobin gritted his teeth. He raised both hands, and the ground shook. A bolt of light shot from the sky, striking the bad man's hand. The dark smoke faded. The bad man shouted in anger. "You'll pay for that," he roared. Suddenly, more hooded men came out from the trees. "There's too many," Mosseline cried. Tobin grabbed her hand. "We have to jump into the river." "What?" "It's cold and deep," Mosseline shouted. "It's the only way." Tobin insisted. Without wasting time, Mosseline held Lenny close and, with Tobin beside them, they jumped into the cold, rushing water. Splash! The water was freezing. It pulled them fast, carrying them far away from the men. Behind them, the bad man shouted, "Find them. Don't let them escape." The river carried Mosseline, Lenny, and Tobin down, down, through the dark forest, past big rocks, and under fallen trees. Finally, they reached a quiet part of the river where the water slowed. Gasping for air, Mosseline pulled Lenny onto the shore. Tobin followed, coughing and shivering. We made it," Mosseline whispered. But Tobin shook his head. "No, Mosseline, this is just the beginning." The yellow eyes moved closer. One by one, the forest beasts stepped into the light. They were big, hairy creatures with sharp teeth and long claws. Their fur was as dark as the night, and their growls sounded like rolling thunder. Mosseline held Lenny tight behind her. Tobin stood in front of them, his hands glowing again, though his face showed he was getting weak. I don't have enough strength left," Tobin whispered. Mosseline's heart pounded. The beasts circled them. Their sharp teeth shone in the moonlight. One of the beasts leapt forward, its claws reaching for Mosseline. Whoosh! Suddenly, a rope flew through the air and wrapped around the beast's neck. It yelped and fell back into the bushes. Then a tall figure stepped out of the trees. He wore a long dark green coat and a wide hat that covered most of his face. A long sword hung by his side, and his voice was calm but strong. "Stay away from the lady and the children," the man said. The beasts growled but took a step back. Mosseline's eyes widened. Who are you?" The man smiled a little. "Name's Calric Boone. I've been tracking those monsters for days." One of the beasts snarled and leapt at Calric. Quick as lightning, Calric pulled out a shining silver sword and swung it. Swish! The beast fell, whimpering, and the others howled in fear. Calric pointed his sword at them. "Go tell your master the boy is not his to take." The beasts growled low, then turned and disappeared into the dark forest. The night grew silent again. Mosseline fell to her knees, holding Lenny. Thank you, sir." Calric sheathed his sword and looked down at Tobin. "You've been using too much of your power, boy. You'll burn yourself out." Tobin looked up weakly. "I had no choice." Calric sighed. "I know. That man won't stop. He's one of the Shadow Keepers." Mosseline frowned. "Shadow Keepers?" Calric nodded. "A terrible group. They steal children with gifts like Tobin's, and they do unspeakable things." Mosseline shivered. She held Lenny tighter. "We have to keep moving," Calric said. "They'll come back with worse." "But where can we go now?" Mosseline asked. Calric's eyes narrowed. "There's a place deep in the forest. A hidden camp for people like us. But it's a long and dangerous road." Tobin stood slowly. "We'll go." Calric nodded. "Good. But stay close. There are other things in these woods, things even worse than those beasts." He turned and started walking. Mosseline lifted Lenny into her arms and followed. As they walked deeper into the forest, the trees grew taller and the air colder. Strange sounds echoed around them, soft whispers, branches snapping, and the sound of something following them. Suddenly, Calric stopped. "Wait," he whispered. Mosseline's breath caught in her throat. "What is it?" Calric didn't answer. He pointed to the trees ahead. A thick fog was creeping in, low to the ground. In the mist, shadowy figures moved. "They've found us already," Calric growled. From the fog, a tall, ghostly woman in a tattered grey dress appeared. Her eyes were empty, her mouth open in a silent scream. "That's a wailing shade," Calric warned. "Don't look into her eyes. If you do, she'll trap your soul." Lenny whimpered and buried her face in Mosseline's shoulder. Calric stepped forward with his sword ready. "Stay behind me," he ordered. The wailing shade let out a horrible, high-pitched cry. The trees shook. The ground trembled. Suddenly, from behind them, the bad man's voice came again. "You can't run forever, lady," he bellowed. Mosseline's heart sank. Calric clenched his jaw. "He's here too." Tobin struggled to his feet, his hands glowing faintly. Mosseline turned to Calric. "What do we do?" Calric's eyes were sharp. "We fight, or we die." The night felt heavier. The wailing shade floated closer, her grey hair twisting in the wind like smoke. Calric gripped his sword tightly, his other hand reaching into his coat pocket. "Tobin," Calric said sharply, "stay behind me." "Mosseline, don't move." Mosseline clutched Lenny, her eyes darting between the ghostly woman ahead and the bad man's voice echoing behind them. Then, a sudden strange glow came from the trees. A soft, golden light flickered, cutting through the fog like a thread. "Who's that?" Mosseline whispered. A small figure stepped out from the light. It was an old woman with white hair tied in a long braid, wearing a dark purple cloak and holding a wooden staff topped with a glowing blue crystal. "Enough, shade," the old woman said firmly. Her voice was calm but powerful. The wailing shade froze, her mouth closing, her empty eyes narrowing. Slowly, she faded back into the mist. Calric's face twisted in shock. "Eldra? You're alive?" The old woman, Eldra, gave a sad smile. "Did you really think the Shadow Keepers would get rid of me so easily, Calric?" Mosseline's eyes widened. "Wait, you two know each other?" Tobin stepped forward. "Who is she?" Calric lowered his sword. "This is Eldra, my mother." Mosseline gasped. Lenny peeked up from her arms. "But, you never told me you had family," Tobin said quietly. Calric sighed, his face heavy with pain. "I kept it secret for a reason. I thought she was dead. The Shadow Keepers came for her years ago because she was one of their leaders." Mosseline's stomach dropped. "A leader?" Eldra nodded slowly. "I was one of them. Long ago. Before I knew what evil they truly were." The trees groaned as the wind picked up. "They took me in when I was a girl," Eldra said. "Promised me power, taught me spells, and made me do terrible things. But when I saw what they did to children like Tobin, I ran." Mosseline swallowed hard. Tobin's eyes shimmered. "You left him behind," Tobin whispered. "You let them take my mother." Eldra's face broke. "I tried to save her, but I was too late." A sudden loud crack snapped through the woods. A tree split in half and crashed to the ground. The bad man stepped into view. Well, he hissed. The Lost Witch returns. Eldra raised her staff. Leave these children alone, Orma. Orma's red eyes gleamed. I have no quarrel with you, Eldra. Hand over the boy, and I'll let the lady and her brat live. Mosseline's blood boiled. She stepped forward. You'll have to get through me first. Orma chuckled darkly. I was hoping you'd say that. Suddenly, with a snap of his fingers, dozens of dark figures surrounded them, hooded men, beast creatures, and wailing ghosts. Tobin tried to summon his light, but he stumbled, weak. Calric cursed under his breath. Too many. Then Eldra spoke. There's a way out, but it's dangerous. Do it. Mosseline shouted. Eldra gripped her staff, and the ground began to rumble. A ring of blue fire circled around them. Orma snarled. You think your old tricks can stop me? Eldra grinned. I'm not stopping you. I'm calling someone. From deep in the forest, a roar echoed. Louder than thunder. Trees shook. The earth cracked. Orma's face twitched. No, you wouldn't. I would, Eldra said. The roar came again. Then, the ground burst open, and a huge, horned beast covered in stone armor and glowing runes climbed out. It had red eyes, but not like Orma's. These were kind, ancient, filled with wisdom and rage. It turned to Mosseline, Tobin, and Calric. I am Thornius, keeper of the deep roots, the beast said in a voice like rolling stones. Who seeks my help? Mosseline swallowed hard and stepped forward. We do. Orma screamed in fury. Kill them all. The hooded men charged, and the battle began. The ground shook as Thornius, the giant stone beast, roared again. His voice made the wind howl and the trees bend. Stand behind me, little ones, Thornius said, lowering his huge, stony body to shield Mosseline, Lenny, and Tobin. The hooded men rushed forward with sharp blades and spears. The ground cracked beneath their feet. Boom. Thornius stomped, and the earth split open. Half of the bad men tumbled into the deep hole, their screams fading as the earth swallowed them. Calric swung his sword, glowing with blue fire, cutting through the shadows. Eldra raised her staff high. By the old ways, be gone. A bright light flashed from her staff, turning 3 ghostly creatures to dust. Orma, the bad man, growled in anger. You cannot defeat me. He raised both hands, and a terrible dark cloud formed over the clearing. Tobin, though weak, lifted his small hand. A tiny, glowing spark appeared. I won't let you hurt my family. Tobin shouted. The spark grew brighter and brighter until it shone like the sun. Orma's eyes widened. No, it's not possible. Tobin's light shot out, slamming into the dark cloud. The darkness screamed and broke apart like glass. The battle was almost over. One last hooded man leapt toward Mosseline. Watch out. Eldra cried, but before the man could strike, Lenny, the little girl, did something no one expected. She reached out her tiny hand and grabbed the man's wrist. A soft, warm glow spread from her touch, and the man's eyes softened. The darkness left him. I remember now, he whispered, dropping his sword. I was a father once. The man stepped back, tears falling down his cheeks, and vanished into the mist. Orma stumbled back, now alone. No. Orma roared. This isn't over. Thornius raised his fist. For the harm you have done, be gone. With a mighty smash, Thornius struck the ground. A ring of blue fire surrounded Orma. He screamed as the light consumed him, and then he was gone. The forest grew silent again. The fog lifted. The night was calm. It was over. Mosseline fell to her knees, holding Lenny close. Tobin collapsed into Calric's arms, exhausted but smiling. Eldra lowered her staff, her old face wet with tears. Thornius let out a deep sigh and spoke softly. You are brave, little ones. Remember, courage is not having no fear. It's doing what's right even when you're afraid. He turned to Tobin. And you, child, hold great power. Use it to heal, not harm. Then Thornius faded into the earth, his body turning into stones and flowers. Eldra knelt beside Mosseline. I'm sorry for everything, she whispered. The Shadow Keepers are gone now, and you are free. Mosseline smiled weakly. Thank you, all of you. The stars shone bright overhead. The danger had passed. Moral lesson. This story teaches us that even in the darkest times, kindness, courage, and standing together can defeat any evil. No matter how small you are, you can be brave, and it's never too late to change your heart and make things right.
Thank you for watching. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching and supporting my videos. Your time, your comments, and your love mean everything. Every view, like, and share keeps this channel alive, and I couldn't do it without you. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps bring even more passionate, emotional, and unforgettable love stories to life. Stay tuned for more drama, romance, and unexpected twists. Until next time, keep loving, keep feeling, and keep watching. Much love, infidelity, love.